All right, it's time now for the Hannity Washington briefing, and there's only one person available for that, and that is White House Press Secretary, our friend Caroline Leavitt. Let's talk about the Alien Enemies Act that has been used multiple times by multiple presidents, and it is very, very crystal clear. Any invasion, predatory incursion shall be perpetrated, attempted, or threatened against the territory of the U.S. by any foreign nation government. The president shall make a public proclamation of the event, and these people shall be removed from this country. It's not really that difficult to comprehend. However, Democrats are using the courts. This is now the, 50th time the Democrats have gone to the courts. 15 times they've been successful. I do believe it'll be overturned. Your thoughts?
Promises made, promises kept, Sean. President Trump campaigned on securing our homeland, on expelling foreign terrorists and illegal violent criminals from our nation's interior, and that is exactly what he is doing. On February 20th, President Trump signed an executive order designating Tren de Aragua as a foreign terrorist organization because that is what they are. As you just heard Sarah so eloquently say, these are some of the most heinous monsters, criminal gangsters, violent murderers and rapists who have invaded our country under the lawlessness of the previous administration. There is a new sheriff in town now, and he is using every lever of executive authority to secure our country. That's why the president invoked the Alien Enemies Act. He is well within his constitutional and legal and executive authority to do so. And our administration is prepared to fight this battle in court because we know that this was a whole of government effort. This was a successful counterterrorism operation led by President Trump, the Department of State, the Department of Homeland Security, and now the Department of Justice, who will win this battle in court on behalf of the American people and the innocent, beautiful women who were slaughtered. Their lives were taken too short at the hands of these illegal foreign terrorists. And if the Democrats want to pick this fight, Sean, it's one we will pick all day long, because they are now arguing that the president should have turned around those planes with these foreign terrorists on them. I don't think the American public want these people in our country. That's why they overwhelmingly reelected President Trump. He is doing the will of the American public who elected him to this office, and thank God he is, because he is saving countless lives in the process.
Carolyn, 4 different presidents have used this act, the Alien Enemies Act, prior to President Trump. There was a Supreme Court decision in 1948, and the court stated a president's decision under the act precludes judicial review of the removal order. They don't even have a say in the courts on this. I don't think that's going to be overturned.
We feel very confident. We know we are going to win this battle in court because, again, the president is acting within his executive authority as the commander-in-chief of our country, as the Alien Enemies Act clearly states. And so we have, unfortunately, Sean, a judicial branch that has gotten so out of control. You have single judges in single cities in lower courts trying to determine the way in which the president handles foreign relations. They cannot be allowed to do that. If we live in a country where the will of the American people is subverted by a single judge in a single court, we no longer live in a democracy. And so this president and this administration are fighting for our Constitution and for our democracy, and fighting for the will of the American people to be done, and for foreign terrorists to be expelled from American soil, to make the communities of law-abiding citizens safer every single day.
Let's talk about the attack this weekend. NBC News reporting the U.S. killed 53 combatants. We're talking about the Houthis. And more importantly, the president also threatens Iran directly, and the consequences will be dire. Those were his words if they continue to foment terror in the region. I would imagine that, and the president warned Hamas if they did not return all the hostages, that the hostilities would begin. Israel is currently bombing Gaza as we speak. Is this the beginning now of the president fulfilling that promise?
Well, the Trump administration and the White House were consulted by the Israelis on their attacks in Gaza tonight. And as President Trump has made it clear, Hamas the Houthis, Iran, all those who seek to terrorize not just Israel, but also the United States of America will see a price to pay. All hell will break loose. And all of the terrorists in the Middle East, again, the Houthis, Hezbollah, Hamas, Iranian-backed terror proxies in Iran themselves should take President Trump very seriously when he says he is not afraid to stand for law-abiding people. He is not afraid to stand up for the United States of America and our friend and our ally Israel. And we know that these successful defensive strikes that took place over the weekend against the Houthis in the Red Sea were indeed successful. We took out some of their leaders, and the Defense Department is set to continue with this campaign if the Houthis continue with their retaliatory measures. The president is going to stand for the navigation, freedom of navigation of our seas, which is a very basic principle that unfortunately the previous administration refused to stand for, and that's why we are in this mess in the Middle East in the first place. President Trump inherited a lot of problems, Sean, because of the incompetence and the weakness of the Biden-Harris administration, but he is focused on fixing them, and our allies and our adversaries better take him seriously.
Caroline, let me ask you, under President Trump's sanctions and policies, the Iranians were headed towards bankruptcy. Joe Biden turned a blind eye towards those sanctions. The Iranians got rich. And as a result, they were fomenting terror. They're helping Hamas, Hezbollah, the Islamic Jihad, the Houthi rebels, and they're firing ballistic missiles themselves into Israel. It seems to me that under the president's new policy, that it seems very clear that they're not going to be able to foment terror anymore. And with the IAEA report suggesting that the Iranians are much closer to nuclear weapons than the world thought, that would mean that between Israel and the U.S., that those nuclear sites that we understand are buried deep underground will have to go, and probably the refineries that fund their terror will have to go as well. Is that the direction the Iranians seem to want?
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll have to see, but I would like to talk about the drastic change in policy from Trump 1.0 to the Biden administration. President Trump had his foot on the neck of the Iranian regime. They were weak. They were broke. The Biden administration lifted President Trump's very effective sanctions. The Iranian-backed regime was rich. They were strong, and their proxies in the Middle East were stronger as a result. The Biden administration also lifted the foreign terrorist designation on the Houthis, which, as we know, led to those attacks on U.S. naval ships and commercial vessels as well. Now President Trump is back, and he is not going to tolerate this. He has made it very clear Iran must not have nuclear capability, and they must not support their terrorist proxies in the Middle East. If they do that, there will be all hell to pay.
And as we speak, right now, Israel is attacking Gaza. That ceasefire is now officially ended. We appreciate you being on. Carol. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.